Charlie, welcome back. Another
All right.
episode of pilot benefits
That's
and
right.
benefits in general.
Yeah.
Obviously, today we've talked about a lot of different
Yeah.
types of retirement benefits, and today we're going to talk a little bit about long-term care
Yep.
insurance and how that can be important to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
For me, as a new pilot,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious. Long-term care,
Yeah.
what is it?
Right.
And let's just start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Long-term care is one of the lesser-known benefits, Ben, because some airlines may not have it. In fact, Southwest, for example, just integrated this into their employment plans just a couple of years ago. So sometimes you can go through your employer, sometimes you can't. So you might have to go
Okay.
shop it on the open market. We'll talk about that in a minute. But long-term care is a tough one. It can be very emotional for people because we've all, or most of us anyway, have had experiences with either friends or family members where we've seen them age and then not be able to take care of themselves, and it's very difficult. And a lot of people I talk to, and myself included, we don't want to be a burden on our children, so we want to insure against this risk. This risk is also considered not just preventing yourself from being a burden, but also it's like portfolio insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you spend your whole life saving up a nest egg and now you're all set, God forbid something happens, you have a stroke, Alzheimer's, dementia, well, your portfolio will be spent on these expenses.
Yeah, you don't have to use everything you saved up,
everything you
up
saved
just
will be
on
gone.
that.
Yes. So that's
those
the other,
expenses.
those are kind of the two things you're insuring against, and both are very emotionally charged topics. And for those that have had experiences with family members, it's tough.
Yeah. What exactly, though, does it cover? I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of different misconceptions with
Yeah.
that. What does it cover compared to, just your health insurance or
Sure.
something like that?
Yeah, a lot of people get this mixed up maybe a little bit with long-term disability. That's completely different.
Okay.
This is long-term care insurance, and to get official, kind of, if there's 6 activities of daily living. If you cannot do 2 of these 6 activities of daily living, then your long-term care insurance provider would start to pay out, so that you can seek care. Those activities
Okay.
of daily living are like bathing, dressing, moving around, like from the bed to the chair, for
Yeah.
example, and going to the bathroom, eating or feeding
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and taking your own medications. If you can't do some of those things, obviously that's a pretty tough situation, and a lot of those folks have had dementia, Alzheimer's, a stroke, and so or whatever it may be. Those people are the ones that are going to need that care.
I know that this is going to be for basically much later on in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
When should I start to consider getting long-term care insurance?
Yeah.
Is that something necessary for right
Right.
away, or,
Yeah.
or when?
Well, that's a great question, Ben. You and I could buy it right now if we wanted to.
Okay.
And the premium would be cheaper if we bought it now.
Oh, wow.
The problem is you're going to pay, now we're talking about standard long-term care, where you pay this premium. It's like homeowner's insurance. As long as you have a home, you're going to pay it, and you hope to never use it. You hope your house never burns down. So you're going to pay for it forever. That's the tough part. So you got to think about, it's cheaper when I'm younger, but I'm going to pay for it for a long time. The average, or I should say 89% of claims happen when someone's 70 or older.
Okay.
So, with that in mind, it makes sense to wait a little bit.
So much later on,
Yeah.
this is going to be kind of your last step, insurance.
Most
really
people
that you're
get
gonna
this
use.
insurance anywhere from age 55 to 65. I think
Okay.
that's over 50% of the people that buy it get it during that window. And it might even be smarter to get it prior to age 60, because you might experience a jump in premiums once you hit age 60.
Okay.
But it depends. They're going to do a health screening, a pretty specific health screening on you, and so everybody's health situation is a little different. In fact, if you're younger but you have a poor family health history, then or a history of dementia in your family, then maybe it makes sense to get it a little earlier. So everybody's a little different in that regard.
Okay. All right. Now I know that there are a lot of different benefits when it comes to being in the military. A lot of pilots were previous military. Are there any things that maybe cross over? Are you still
Right.
needing long-term care insurance if
Yeah.
you were in the military?
Right, that's a great question, and it's one that I've put a lot of research into. It's hard to find some of this information, but what I have found to be true is that the VA will not pay for long-term care benefits until you're pretty much out of money.
Okay.
Kind of like a Medicaid. That's what we have learned through phone calls and through looking and So that's kind of, I tell my military families, don't count on the VA paying for your long-term care insurance, because most of the people we work with have some money.
Okay.
So in other words, they're not going to help you out until you're pretty much broke.
Okay, they'll measure how much you have left and then decide whether they should help you or not.
That's
I
right.
guess.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
all right.
Kind of like Medicaid in that area. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, what happens if you don't have it? Is it necessary? Because what if I don't have it? Am I
True,
still gonna have any help at all? Or
That's right. Yeah. Some people choose, after looking into this, to not get this insurance.
okay.
Now, here's a couple reasons you may choose not to get it. One of them is, hey, we can self-fund this, maybe. You know what I mean?
You have enough money.
That's a lot of funding, but some people can do that. If you have significant assets, the average nursing home cost, Ben, and this data is probably a couple of years old, was like $85,000 a year.
Jeez.
So that's about
okay.
$7,000 a month if my math is close.
Yeah.
So that's pretty significant. The average stay in a long-term care facility is a little over 3 years, I believe.
Okay.
So you're talking about a significant chunk, and for the ladies, it's even longer. They have a higher expected expense because they live longer. So you can either pay for it yourself, or you can spend down all of your money and let Medicaid pay for that for you. And again, Medicaid is like we just kind of referred to. They're going to pay when you have nothing left.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of your retirement, you never know what could happen during your retirement that could cause you to not have as much assets when you're in that stage of your life.
That's right.
It's definitely a big risk to wait and hope on that.
Is.
So
It is.
now, I guess, where do we start on how to get in it? If we can just cover that really quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You'll want to go to. We don't sell insurance. We do absolutely help our clients to get this insurance, but we have people that we trust that are insurance brokers. They're going to go out and shop around a little bit and look for the best policy for someone's particular situation. So that's
Okay.
kind of what we recommend to do that, and that's probably the best thing to do.
Okay. Shop around, find your options.
That's
So really great information, obviously, with long-term care. Really looking forward to learning more about these benefits.
Absolutely.
So thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Ben.